Hello, brujas and brujitas. It's Reverend Dave. It's 111 on 111. My name is Reverend Dave. I'm a 55-year-old single dad living in the city of Satan, Las Vegas, Nevada. And this is my story. I did that because, funny story, before I even get started. A few things happened to prepare for this that I find hilarious. I made a promo video the other day and it got blocked and whatever from YouTube people. And I'm like, something maybe copyright or something because the music I had in there, which was a ringtone from an app that I have on my phone. It was a heavy metal guitar riff or whatever. I don't even know who the band is or whatever. Like, okay, whatever. But they got pissed. They yanked it. The other day, my brand new camera tripod that I'm using now, I tripped over, broke. So I had to rig that. And then, I love this one. I'm a member or whatever of several different witchy groups or whatever. And I thought it'd be cool, hey, posting a YouTube channel, you know, whatever. I got kicked out. Thanks for the support. So yeah, so this has been interesting. But I want to welcome you all. This is like the real launch of my channel. And I know some of you out there are rolling your eyes like, oh shit, not another fucking witch channel, whatever. Well, I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I know a lot of these channels are kind of talk about the same stuff or whatever. I've learned a lot from some. Some are I turn off right away, whatever. Here's my deal. I was, whatever, a pastor, born again church, whatever. And of course I left the ministry several years ago. But in my channel, I'm here to bring a little bit of a biblical perspective because it's amazing, some similarities and just in things. And I find it fascinating. And, you know, I'm not here to denounce Christianity or denounce Jesus or anything like that because I still believe in a lot of stuff. I'll get more into that in my next video because that's going to be titled Christianity versus Witchcraft and Old Testament versus New Testament, Old Witchy Ways versus New Witchy Ways, whatever. So that'll be fun. And I'm going to list, at the end of this video, I will give you a list, a rundown of all the topics and episodes that I plan on sharing you for the rest of the year. I don't know how it's going to work out. It's my first time. I'm not a baby witch, and but I am a baby YouTuber or whatever. I mean, I'm taking a big chance doing this, I think, because it's really awkward to me, staring at myself, talking to you. It's bizarre. I'll probably get some backlash from it on a Christian level, maybe by even some of the upper witchy poos. I don't know. I hope not. You know, we're all here to learn and grow together, so that's it. And it's funny because this is the pastor giving a sermon in me. I literally have 6 pages of my life story. Like I don't know my own life. But I'm so used to doing it that way. And of course, I'm not here to exegete the word or anything like that because it's not that type of sermon. Basically, just give you a rundown, background. I wanted to get the introduction of who I am out of the way before I get into spell casting and correspondences and all that stuff, but it's going to be fun. Um, I really wish I knew how to use graphics and all that stuff. Maybe later on I'll do that because I would love to insert stuff and do things and what have you. But so hopefully after this video, you'll be intrigued. You want to stay tuned, and hopefully you'll subscribe. I'm very excited because my first day as a YouTuber or whatever the other day when I did my little promo video, I had like 6 subscribers in the first day, and that really tickled my heart. Thanks, Mom. And so this is my story. Here I go. I really am, I want to say, Pastor Reverend. Reverend Dave has been my nickname forever because I'm a very spiritual person or what have you. But my background in ministry was downtown Las Vegas before it was gentrified and all whatever, which I don't mind that at all because it's great because some of the good bars are down there and venues, and I'm a band promoter myself, so I book shows down there, so it's cool now. But back in the day, and I did this for several years, I used to have a homeless ministry on Fremont Street. Now, this is back when I was married or whatever. One day, my wife and I, it was so weird because I was thinking it in my head, and she spoke the words and said, hey, we should make some food and go take it down. And it was just bizarre how it happened. Anyways. So we started out of the back of our Jeep, making lasagna, went down there and just served homeless people or whatever and shared with them the word of God and, and stuff like that. And just, whatever. And then that grew into donating clothes and it turned into a weekly thing. And then a friend of my wife's dad said, hey, I have this like little thrift store kind of building right there on Fremont Street. Do you want to use it as I'm like, well, okay, cool, that's rad. So we got blessed with this little building, and I renamed it Soul Kitchen. And so what we did on a weekly basis, or bi-weekly or whatever, made food. I gave a little Bible study, and that was it. And we just loved on these people, and it was cool. It was cool for a while, for years. It was great. It grew, and it was just cool. And in that time, I've seen a lot of crazy things. People possessed by demons. Almost got my arm broken twice by a possessed lady. I've slain people in the spirit, just praying with them on the street. I mean, it's just really just crazy stuff. But after a while, a church rolled into town thinking they were going to reinvent the wheel and do all this great stuff or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And my wife and I at the time, we started attending this church, and it was cool. We, whatever, we dug it for a minute. They offered to help us in our little thing that we're doing. I said, cool. Bad idea. They came in, kind of took over, and you're an idiot, this and that, and I'm like, oh my God. I've seen so much phoniness in the church and in concerts, whatever, the Christian, so-called Christian artists and stuff, and just whatever. It just, I'm not trying to talk bad about it. It just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I kind of just got over it and moved on. So, moving forward, after we left that ministry or whatever, we kind of just did our own thing. We're going to church or whatever, and I was kind of doing my own thing. My wife at that time, then she decided that she wanted to start a career as a personal trainer, whatever, and I supported her 100%, whatever. But so she did that, got certified, all this or whatever. She started coming home later and later, and I'm like, you know what, you need to be home with us. This is getting ridiculous. So, and I'm cutting a lot of details out, but because I'm trying to get through this without boring you to death, but just trying to give you a background of how I got to where I am. So, after that happened, and I'm kind of skipping over my notes like a lot, so I'm gonna have to backtrack in a minute. But one day I came home from work, got a phone call from a random lady I didn't know. And she began to tell me that she believed that her husband was having an affair with my wife. And I'm like, what? At first, I like kind of just laughed it off because like if you knew my wife, she's very friendly, buddy, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So she began to explain some shit, and whatever. So I put on my pants and ran out the door and went to the gym where she was at, and sure enough, pieces were falling together. And I confronted her in the middle of the parking lot, and it just turned into this big old fucking mess, and it was just insane. And I'm going to get more into that in a minute because I'm getting way ahead of myself because I'm not even looking at my notes, I'm looking at you. But so I think what I'm trying to say is that shortly after that, as we're going through this, it's been a month now that this shit happened. My nephew was shot and killed. And at this point in time, I'm living downstairs, sleeping on the couch because I just couldn't be next to her, even though we were in the same house for a minute. And I like to write poetry occasionally. And I was writing some pieces at that time, and I call it my dark period. Anyways, I couldn't sleep. It's like a Friday night, whatever, midnight. So I couldn't sleep. And I don't even know why I'm telling you this because I was going to leave this part out, but I'll just touch on it in a minute. I got up, went for a walk, ran into my nephew, one of them, talked to him for a minute, ran into another nephew, talked to him for a minute, left, proceeded to walk around the block. Now, mind you, I couldn't sleep at this time. But when I got home, it was like the Sandman came out. It was the most bizarre thing because you think helicopters hovering over my house, sirens, whatever, would wake me up. No. It was the phone. At this time, we still had landlines. So the kitchen phone rings. It's my nephew. My other nephew says, dude, you know, shit, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fuck, what? I just saw him 20 minutes ago. What? Got in my car. Sure enough, there's cops everywhere. Helicopter, whole 9 yards. I'm like, what the fuck? Run to the hospital. He died on arrival. It was just, you think 2020 was bad. This was in 2011. Worst year of my life. It literally took me over a year, almost 2 years, just to heal, just to get my somewhat head back on straight. It was crazy. But so shortly after that, we got divorced and stuff. And I'm like totally just skipping all my notes. I didn't even mean to do that. It's weird because now I'm just winging it now. But that's how I basically ended up in Vegas and started my spiritual journey per se. Because I grew up in Southern California, born and raised in Santa Ana, California. And I am of Mexican, Russian, and Aztec Indian heritage. Now, I don't want to say this is where my spiritual journey starts or anything like that, because, and I loosely call myself a hereditary brujo, which is Spanish for witch, male witch. And I say this because I was basically raised by my grandmother, okay? From birth to about 10 years old, she raised me as both my parents worked and loved me, but didn't spend a lot of time with me. My grandmother was now mind you, I was only 5 years old when my earliest recollection of anything. But my memories of her, I used to call her a Catholic witch, is what I would call her, what I would think of her. She was like this little 5 foot, blue-eyed Mexican lady, and gray hair in a bunch. She looked like Aunt B from Andy Griffith Show. And she'd walk around the house every fucking day, 24 hours a day, with the rosary, just chanting. Not even really praying, but chanting and just, all this stuff. And I remember that vividly. But one of the fondest memories I have too is her making me breakfast. And this is why I believe she was maybe a kitchen witch, because she's always in the kitchen doing it. Anyways, this past Christmas, I was blessed by my mom and my sister with my grandmother's molcajete, which basically is a mortise and pestle. I have it right here. I am blown away that this thing is still around. I haven't seen it in years. And if I do the math right, I'm a carpenter by trade, but I'm horrible at math, but I know fractions somewhat. This molcajete is 120 years old. It's fucking amazing. It's, you can see, very worn out. A lot of the pebbles, the rocks pitted it away, but my grandmother used to use this. She'd go in the backyard, cut cactus, nopales, put them in there, smash them up, and scramble them with eggs for me. It's one of my fondest memories. I loved it. It was fucking delicious. But this year I was blessed with this, so I'm like fucking stoked, because I made a couple spell jars with some herbs and whatever, and that was kind of rad, very special to me. So growing up in Southern California, that was my earliest recollection of any kind of witchery in my life or whatever. So now I fast forward in my 20s. Do not laugh at this, what I'm about to tell you. But in my 20s, I love heavy metal, punk rock, whatever, but very much in the metal. So in the early 80s, mid 80s, up until early 90s, whatever, I had extremely long, beautiful hair, almost to my butt. I even was offered, and I did this for a couple of years, don't laugh, but I modeled for Redken hair products and hair shows. I kid you not. It was so fun, so stupid, but so fun. But anyways, in my 20s when I had my long hair, I kind of touched on my ancestral roots a little bit. I used to wear feathers in my hair, denim shirts, turquoise, whatever. I'd go to Huntington Beach with my friends. We'd take peyote, mushrooms, whatever, and just sit on the beach and fry. Watch the smoke coming out of the smokestacks from the sugar factory on PCH and just trip out. That was my first somewhat dabbling or even kind of coming close to any kind of personal witchery or whatever you want to call it. But I never practiced, never really got into it, just, whatever. So now, as I told you a minute ago, my parents retired from the school district in 1988, I think. Wanted to move to Las Vegas, Nevada. I tried to talk them out of it, but they did anyways. I'm like, So, the third part of my journey, here's what gets interesting. I'm in my late 20s. It's the late 80s. I used to jog a lot back then. Obviously, I don't now because I'm a fat ass. But back then, I jogged a lot. And one day I was running, ran into an old skateboarding buddy of mine, right? Because I'm a big skateboarder, was or whatever. Anyways, we were talking for about reminiscing about old days and, and stuff like that. And I noticed on his arm, he had a pair of praying hands that said servant of Christ or servant for Christ or servant of Christ, whatever. And I go, what is that? I go, are you a Christian now? Or what is that? I thought Christians are allowed to have tattoos or whatever, And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, I got saved and I go to this really cool biker church, and they play rock and roll and biker. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you got to come. And I was at a weird point in my life as well because I was kind of just sick of everything. And I thought I wanted a wife that might, or be in a relationship or something that would, I don't know, just add something. I don't know what I was looking for. So anyway, he invites me to his church. He wasn't preachy, he didn't shove anything down my throat. It's super cool. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, babe, I'll check it out, whatever. So a couple months go by. I go, I'm gonna go check this place out. So I go. And I was like, damn. They're playing, the band was playing Rolling Stones or some song, but they changed the lyrics to be churchy. But everybody's like leather jackets, these ex-Hells Angels and, old outlaw biker dudes. And I'm like, this is kind of rad. So I started going a little more. So I continued to go. Got into it. And then in 1989, the pastor, wearing his leather jacket, biker, whatever, gives an altar call, which means he invited people to come forward to receive Christ in their life or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I already believe. I said, why not? So I go forward, receive Christ. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So now I started, still going to church or whatever. Still kind of half-assed in my heathen ways, but nonetheless, I felt good, whatever. So I got more involved in the church and doing their little Bible studies and whatever. But in this church particularly was really big on homeless ministry. That's how I got into it. And I thought it was rad because they had this phenomenal idea, and I don't know why every fucking church in the U.S. doesn't do this. But they would take old boarded up houses that the city would board it up that were destined for destruction, for demolition. So the pastor went to the mayor of the city or whatever and said, hey, this is what we do. Knowing that they're going to be destroyed, can we rent these out so we can house and take in people that are on the street, freshly out of prison, whatever. Just, and the mayor goes, he thought it was a fabulous idea. So he goes, yeah, okay, we'll rent you these houses for like $1 a month or just something or whatever. So they had these houses and they did this. So I got involved with that. And it was cool. So after I think a year or whatever, they put a call out saying that, you know, they wanted to start other of these churches or whatever in other states. And it was at the same exact time that my parents just moved to Vegas. So I volunteered, offered myself, and said, hey, Vegas is a cool spot. You want to do one there? I'd be happy to start it. And they said, yeah, go out there. Whatever. They sent me and a team of people out there. I moved out there, got it going or whatever. I was sick of California anyway, so I went. But here's where it's weird. Okay, here's a crazy story. While I was attending this church, remember I said I want a wife or whatever. One day, this is right before I moved to Vegas, this lady comes up to me and she goes, I have a message from God for you. I'm like, what? I kind of roll my eyes like, okay, what is it? She goes, first of all, God wanted me to tell you that you're on the right path. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, okay, whatever. And she goes, and this is super, it just crazy, but she goes, do you desire a wife? And I'm like, what? She goes, God wanted me to tell you that he has somebody in store for you. So amazing, it's going to make your head spin. And I'm like, ooh, I'm intrigued. Okay. So anyways, I'm like, right on, thanks. Peace out. So I moved to Vegas. I'm here, this was 1991. I'm here literally 2 months. And it's been, I don't know, 6 months to a year from when this lady said that or whatever. And nothing happened. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I kind of forget about it, whatever. I moved to Vegas. I'm here 2 months. And I was living with my parents for a minute when I first came out until we got this thing going and then moved in this new house or whatever that we had. That's when I met my wife. I kid you not, it still makes me laugh to this day, that when this lady said, you're going to meet somebody who makes your head spin, it was in a literal sense. Quick story. When I first met my wife, yes, my ex-wife, whatever, she's an artist as well. And she used to drive this Volkswagen Bug, all painted like a fucking hippie bus. I mean, just crazy. I'm like, what the fuck? And there was like a little kind of S-turn in front of where I was living. And I'd see her drive by all the time or whatever. And I'm like, God, holy cow, that chick is fucking gorgeous. Long brown hair, big blue eyes. White, I mean, just, she looked like a model. It's like stunning. She's 23 years old, beautiful. And I'm only 26 at the time. I see her drive by all the time. And I remember I still have my long hair. And I didn't know this then, but she was like totally into Jim Morrison and all this shit or whatever, but she was also a Christian. And I'm like, I didn't know that. So she'd drive by all the time. And she'd smile, and I'd smile, and she'd wave, and I'd wave, and then one day I'm out there, no shirt on, watering the dirt, you know. Oh my God, it was the funniest thing. So one day, this Volkswagen she was driving had no reverse. She's coming around the bend. She sees me. She tries to make a U-turn. Can't make a U-turn because her car's reversed. She gets out of her freaking car in the middle of the street. Not a lot of traffic, but still. Gets out, walks up to me, she introduces herself, shakes my hand. I'm like, my jaw drops. I'm like, I think I love you. It was hilarious. But literally my head would spin every time she would drive by. So I kept thinking about this lady, and I go, damn, that lady was right. I'm like, all right, kudos, God, whatever. So, that was then. This is now. Did that. And moved to Vegas in 91. Met her in 92. Got married in 93. We dated for a year, basically. It was a weird dating cycle. Got married in 93. Had our first kid in 94. Left the ministry. Concentrated on becoming a husband, dad, whatever. So for the next 10 to 15 years or whatever, we built a family. We have 3 beautiful, talented kids now. But unfortunately, as I said, I told you the story earlier, we got divorced in 2011. But here's the last part of my spiritual journey. After our divorce, I'm living on my own, partying, doing my whatever, just drifting in a spiritual void. No direction, no whatever. It was fun for a minute, but my soul, my spirit was still yearning for something. And it wasn't until I think 2015, we've been separated, divorced, whatever, for a while now, and I don't ask me why or how, but just this is for my own self-gratification, for shits and giggles. I started doing researching, doing just a little thing on the research and study of Lilith, Adam's first wife. And I have no idea how I even got on the subject or but I was just curious. And